Thank you for being here. My name is Ari Dusset, or as you already know me, Rashid. All right, let's see. I see Logan is in the live chat. Robbie is there. Meek is here. Joanna is here. Danielle is here. If the rest can report themselves in live chat, that would be great. Right now, I'm just working out in the form of walking. So this is my working out today. Physically working out is a good thing to do. I recommend you do it also. You don't have to exaggerate it and overwhelm your body, but I recommend you do it. So while walking around here, I thought, why not do a live stream? I'll do both the physical working out by walking long distances, as well as teaching you all. So I'm doing both at once. Oh, I see Sundarai is here also. Sam is here also. Hey, Sam. William is here also. All right. The topic of this live stream is sociopaths. Now, years ago, I made a small video of about 30 minutes explaining reprobation, narcissism, sociopathy, and psychopathy. Okay, I'm an anthropologist and a sociologist. Okay, so I'm not a licensed psychologist. Okay, so I speak from things from a collective point of view, because too often we think that things like reprobation are only individual, but they're not collective. Now they are collective. And look at this. Since making this video, I got several questions about reprobation, which I also answered on this channel. Tonight, or at least tonight for me, maybe morning for you, wherever you are on this earth. Look, sociopaths are people or groups. Yeah, you may think, Rashid, how can I call a group a sociopath? It has to do with the way they operate. A sociopath is either an individual or a group that lacks empathy, or better said, that refuses to have a mutual empathy, and will make up their mind to trick you into agreeing with them. That's a sociopath. A narcissist just demands what they want, and if you don't get along, they escalate on you. That's a narcissist. The sociopath is smarter. The sociopath realizes, hold on a minute, I can't always just escalate like that. It's not going to work out well. So I need to get along, faking to be on the good side. That is a sociopath. And meanwhile, the sociopath drives you crazy and brings you in his ruin. So the narcissist just explodes when they encounter physical or emotional discomfort. That's a narcissist. The sociopath examines the situation in how they can keep themselves relevant as if they are the center. So, sociopaths, they're not the same as psychopaths. A psychopath is someone who is highly intelligent, but he or she just can't take dealing with things. That's a psychopath. And a psychopath always has those weird reasons why he or she does something. The sociopath will admit when they are wrong, but will always excuse the wrong they're doing. So I hope you understand now what a sociopath is. So a sociopath is not a figure that goes around with a knife stabbing everyone all the time, like you see in horror movies. It's not someone who, like Freddy Krueger, goes around stalking people in their sleep. A sociopath can be your neighbor. It can be even one of your parents. A sociopath can even be a teacher at the high school. A sociopath can be a police officer of low rank, or can be a local politician, or even a preacher. Sociopaths are far more common than you realize. Now, the number one criteria that you need to watch out for, and by the way, this criteria does not mean someone is automatically a sociopath. It simply means that you need to consider that it may be sociopathic. One of the first red flags about the sociopath is that they are too good to be true. A psychopath, because of his or her instability, they cannot afford to just get along on the long term. Narcissists can get along, but only while playing the victim. That's the difference. The sociopath is the most advanced ones of all reprobates. The sociopath is too good to be true. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Someone can be good for you. Someone can be kind towards you. Someone can be overwhelmingly good. There's nothing wrong with any of that, especially if they're believers. But if someone is too good to be true, that means that there's a context missing. When you're dealing with a sociopath, there is no context to their goodness. No, I'm not saying people should only be good for you if they get something in return, because that does have to be goodness, okay? Someone can be kind and good to you just for you. That happens, okay? That's good. But here's the thing with a sociopath. A sociopath can do good things from time to time and then forget about you. They can do that, so they are capable of doing good things. But most of the time, when they do good things, they only do good things just to take advantage of you in the long run. A narcissist doesn't have the patience nor the endurance to do this. The psychopath doesn't either. It's the sociopath that's the most advanced ones and the most stable ones of all the reprobates. Well, stable, quote unquote, because their stability depends on victimizing others. So the sociopath, just like the narcissist and the psychopath, they have no self-worth at all. And because they have no self-worth, they compensate by controlling and victimizing others. That is the reprobate. Now, the Bible just calls them reprobates. The Bible doesn't go deep into distinguishing the type of reprobates there are. No, the world does. Narcissist, sociopath, psychopath. A narcissist, you may survive. A narcissist, let me say this. I don't say a narcissist is better than a sociopath. None of them are better than the other because they're all reprobates. But a narcissist can recognize quicker that something is wrong. A psychopath, it's just off. But a sociopath has this glamour and charm coming with them. And because this glamour and charm, you don't see that something is wrong over there. It may take years for you to figure out something is wrong. By the way, if you hear music in the background, that's not me, YouTube. There's some people having a house party nearby. I'm just walking by. Man, the music's quite loud. But it's Caribbean music, so I'm happy to hear songs from my area, but okay. So, okay, about sociopaths. A sociopath doesn't have to be just an individual. A whole group of people can operate as a sociopath. Think about those corporations that sell tobacco, that sell cigarettes. Cigarettes are killing people. A lot of, here's the thing, those cigarettes don't even use natural tobacco often. They often use synthetic tobacco. And synthetic tobacco or counterfeit tobacco is more harmful for you than real tobacco. Yet you have those corporations that make and sell cigarettes. Now, look, if someone is suicidal and they want to jump off a bridge and they ask you to help them jump off the bridge, are you going to do it? No, you wouldn't. You're going to think, hey man, come on, you need help, stop doing this. Yet, you have self-destructive people out there who can't stop smoking. They have issues with smoking. Now, smoking, the cigarettes are not the real issue. The issue is they have underlying issues that aren't addressed. That's why they're stuck at smoking. However, people must address those issues. So you're not going to offer them a way of relief to keep them in a cycle of self-destruction. And what happens? Those corporations that make and sell cigarettes, they insist on saying it's people's free choice. They use free choice. By the way, no choice you make is free. Every choice you make affects both you and other people. So free choice and free will, those two things don't exist. All right? But now you have those corporations who keep producing those cigarettes and keep making money off of it. What's the difference between the drug dealer in the streets and those corporations selling cigarettes? The only difference is that the drug dealer in the streets, they don't have a license from the government. That's it. Those corporations selling cigarettes, they're profiting of people's emotional issues. That smoking It's an addiction because they haven't dealt with underlying emotional issues. And those corporations take advantage of that. The drug dealer industry does the same thing, but a drug dealer has no permission from the government. And that's why people turn on the drug dealer. So that's why the drug dealer is labeled criminal and a bad guy, and those corporations that sell cigarettes are considered neutral or sometimes legal. So the corporations that are making and selling cigarettes get a pass, but the drug dealer in the streets is attacked. Now, I don't support the drug dealer in the streets, neither I support those corporations selling cigarettes. However, both of them are doing this exact same thing, taking advantage of people's unprocessed issues. Now, what's the difference between, let me say, what is the difference between illegal prostitution? What makes prostitution legal? For example, in the Netherlands, if you are a pimp and you just send some of your guys of your gang on the streets to trick women into prostitution, you'll be arrested. But if the police comes and show them a license of the Chamber of Commerce, they will leave you alone. What does a piece of paper from the Chamber of Commerce change about the acts you're doing, exploiting the weaknesses of females? So what I'm pointing out here is that not every corporation, every company, but many of those organizations out there are just sociopaths. That's what they are. And that's why they prefer sociopathic people in the chain of command. I already explained to you that society is a narcissist, is an artificial narcissist worldlings submit onto. I already explained that. Now I explain to you that many of those organizations, many of those organizations, they're out there like corporations, companies, businesses. Many of them are sociopaths. They insist in exploiting your wounds to get relief. And they will even claim it's your fault for them exploiting you. Even if you play your part in not facing your issues, they should not be taking advantage of your wrong attitude. It's wrong. Now, when you think about sociopaths, consider the following. No sociopath can succeed without collaboration of the masses. Oh yes, here it comes. And a lot of people don't want to hear this because this is quite hard, it's quite sensitive, this cuts very deep, but hey, you need to hear this. No sociopath can succeed without collaboration of the masses. Now, a narcissist often succeeds because people don't want to don't want to face the situation. We know that. But with a narcissist, you can see that something is wrong. Okay? With a psychopath, yeah, psychopaths are so unstable, they collapse quickly. But a sociopath is the smartest of them all, and he takes advantage of the crowd in such a way that he's sustained over time. But so that means that at some point the crowd becomes a collaborator of that sociopath. For example, there is this woman called Elizabeth Holmes, and she used to be famous several years ago. At age 19, she dropped out of college, and a few years later, she developed, invented this miraculous machine that could do hundreds of blood tests with just a drop of blood. Now, people invested in her idea. Because her father used to be the successful businessman, people thought, oh, she's a white woman, blonde hair, blue eyes, and she's tall, feministic, and she has this great idea. Let's sponsor it. And many companies, corporations, many wealthy people invested in her business. She became a billionaire very swiftly. She came on talk shows, she came on TV. Bill Gates even held a forum one time, and she was there. Bill Clinton invested in her. Back then, Joe Biden also did. Joe Biden wasn't president yet. So this woman had this miraculous idea of doing hundreds of blood tests with just a drop of blood. Now, this was perceived as good news by the public, thinking, whoa, normally to do a blood test, you need multiple blood samples. And that can be draining for the human body. But if someone comes with one tiny machine that can do hundreds of blood tests, whoa, that's great. However, from the start, there were medical professionals that made plain, hold on a minute. This is not possible with technology we have today. How can a woman who never completed med school, how can she, without an experience in the field of medicine, come up with such a machine? How is this? So there were medical professionals thinking this can't be true. But long story short, later people figured out it was one big fraud. And eventually, Elizabeth Holmes was arrested, and now she's on trial. Due to the pandemic situation, they delayed her trial. Now, what do you think about it? Why did all those people fall for this Theranos hoax? By the way, the name of the company she created is Theranos. Also, a name that sounds Greek. Well, what do you know? They worship the Apollo, the Greek god. So now you know. Now think about it. There were media journalists that even interviewed some of the people that were scammed. There was this elderly white woman who was into the stock market, and they asked her, why did you invest in this company? She said, I just wanted to make some money. Hold on a minute. So you didn't care that this Theranos didn't add up. You didn't care that people may be scammed because of it. You just thought about you making money. So to hell with the health of other people. Theranos was a medical scam that harmed a lot of people. There were people that took the Theranos tests and they thought that they had some disease and they took medication for the disease, but later figured out they didn't have the disease. So people became sick because of the wrong diagnosis of this Theranos device. So this Theranos corporation, as well as Elizabeth Holmes, violated the health of many people. But the thing is, so many people kept investing in Theranos. Now, why isn't Joe Biden speaking about the Theranos scam, about the Theranos hoax? Why isn't Joe Biden admitting publicly, listen, years ago, I believed and invested in this thing called Theranos, and it was a big hoax. My apologies. I shouldn't have been involved in that as a politician. Why isn't Joe Biden apologizing for that? Why isn't Bill Clinton, a former president of the United States, also apologizing for it? Why isn't Bill Gates taking responsibility for being part of this scam? Oh, hold on a minute. So Bill Gates and Joe Biden were both involved in a medical hoax. Because the thing is, if Bill Gates holds a forum, we should realize, hold on a minute, what this woman has with the idea doesn't add up. So Bill Gates was complicit, however you look at it. So they were involved in a medical hoax, and now suddenly they're opening their mouths about the current situation in the world, and everyone just believes them. Not forgetting, just a few years before, they were involved in one of the biggest medical scams ever. Oh, Lord. So let me get this straight. This Elizabeth Holmes, she's out of her mind. Absolutely. Okay? I don't know whether she's just a narcissist, also a sociopath, like she's a sociopath, but okay. A psychologist can do the examination over there. What I'm talking about is this sociopathic operation called Theranos, it only worked out because the people refused to examine it. I mean, think about it. If someone tells you they've invented a medicine that could cure certain diseases, you want the proof for it, right? If someone tells you, I have the cure for cancer, this pill over here, what are you going to do? You're going to ask them, listen, so many people are dying of cancer every year, and you claim you have this cure for it. Show the proof. Show me the data and documentation, all the research you've done to prove that this thing works. Show me testimony of people that you gave them this cure and they got better. Show me the testimonies of those hundreds of people that it worked on. Show me the people who are glad with your medicine because a loved one was rescued from dying. You wouldn't just say, hey, this man or this woman says they have the cure for cancer. Let's donate millions to them. Yay, we're going to make money out of it. So you don't care about the health of other people. You just want to exploit them. Now look at this. This woman, Elizabeth Holmes, claims she had no medical degree. She had no background in medical science. Yet she comes up with this medical breakthrough, and the media, the public just went on it. Because this is what I'm telling you. No sociopath can succeed without the masses collaborating. None can. And I don't like to say this, but there is, in this case, her ethnic background, her European background plays a role in it. Because I'm certain of this. If this was an African woman, or an Indian woman, or an Hispanic woman, that means she has a Native American ancestry in her. If this was a woman from Japan or Korea that came up with this idea, they would have been skeptical of her. No, but because she was a white woman, blonde hair, fitting the image of Apollo, they just gave it a pass. Even when she was caught and arrested, they still spoke fond of her. What about Jeffrey Epstein? That guy, whom they figured out was at the head of elite pedophile ring. He was even convicted for crimes relating to pedophilia. He was convicted. And look at this, when that guy allegedly committed suicide, there are doubts about whether it was suicide or not. When he allegedly committed suicide, and they make documentaries and say, oh, he was a very charming man, he was very handsome, this and that. Why are they praising a monster? Why are they praising a monster that trafficked children and harmed underage girls? Why are they praising this man? Truth being told, a sociopath is as strong as the public that endorses them. A sociopath needs the endorsement of the crowd. Without the endorsement of the crowd, they can't do anything. So, anytime you find out that a scandal has been discovered and there's a big controversy in the community, stop looking at how shocked people are. Because many times people are just lying. They're not shocked. They knew something was wrong. They just didn't want to know what was wrong. And that's also something you will realize sooner or later. A lot of folks, they claim that they are shocked, that they're upset with the bad news that came out. But truth being told is, when you look at the context, you realize, hold on a minute. How come this individual is so shocked by this, while years ahead there were red flags all over the place that something was amiss? Why didn't this individual, notice those other people now speak out against it? Why didn't they open their mouths earlier? So, when someone appears in the public eye and they get instant endorsement by the crowd, I'm not talking about quick endorsement after it's proven that they were the victim or that they did something good. I'm talking when someone receives instant endorsement by the crowd, then this individual is someone you need to pay attention to. This is someone you need to examine. I mean, if you, a commoner, or just any believer, if you make a movie, or you make a documentary, or you record a music album, do anything, no record label out there is going to just endorse you and promote you, and the public is going to think, "Who are you? I never heard about you before." Anytime someone pops up and it gets swift endorsement by the crowd, this is because the public recognizes something dark of themselves with that individual. If you have a politician, if a politician pops up out of nowhere and everyone kind of loves that politician, this because that politician, people can see this guy will do the dirty job for us. Oh, we have issues in our community. We don't want to face it. So let's dump all our issues on the Mexicans. Hey, and this guy, this politician, he can take action against the Mexicans for us. And we are built out from having to take responsibility. Anytime anyone is instantly endorsed and people fall in love with this individual just like that, it's because this individual has something dark backing them up. And the darkness within the people is comfortable with the darkness that backs that individual up. So you don't have to be a qualified psychologist to see these things. If someone does not add up, they don't add up. If someone is out of their mind, they're out of their mind. So that is why whenever the crowd endorses a dark figure, one thing you'll notice also is that many of the experts become silent. Anytime a dark figure is endorsed by the crowd, experts become silent. Why do experts become silent when a dark figure is endorsed by the community? It is because the experts can see if they speak out against this figure, they're finished. Because the experts can see the people don't want to hear the truth. The people don't want to. The people don't want to deal with the situation. People just want someone to relieve them. Some of those experts are even threatened by locals not to open their mouth. That's why realize one thing. When someone pops up and they get swift endorsement by the crowd, an expert kind of becomes silent, then you know that something bad is about to happen in the community quite soon. And here's another thing about the Second World War that people don't talk about. You've heard that during the Second World War, the Nazi Party of Nazi Germany occupied most of Europe, and they conducted a genocide on the Ashkenazi Jews. And that was quite horrible. And after the Nazis were defeated by the heroic Americans, now we had a better world order that's multicultural. And every year in Europe, they remember how bad it was what the Nazis did. That's the historical narrative you get. What they don't tell you is that in the 1930s, when social tensions arose against the Ashkenazi Jews, many of them were fleeing to their relatives in the Netherlands, to France, to Denmark, to Ireland, to the UK. Many of them even wanted to go to the United States just to flee the persecution they were facing in Nazi Germany. But look at this. The Netherlands closed its borders just to keep the Ashkenazi Jews who were refugees out. The United States even said, we don't want these people around here. We don't want to be bothered with their issues. At some point, Adolf Hitler even offered the president of the United States back then to ship all those Ashkenazi Jews on ships towards America, on luxury ships, but the United States declined. So what a minute. So those European countries, those European administrations, they knew what was going on in Nazi Germany. They knew that the Ashkenazi Jews were under attack. They knew that many of them were fleeing, asking for help. They said, we don't want to hear about it. They closed the borders. A few years later, the Nazi Nazi Germany occupied most of Europe. And here's the thing: how could Nazi Germany be so swift in occupying most of Europe? That means there were many Nazi collaborators in all those nations, like France, Sweden, the Netherlands, Austria, Poland. But here's the thing: why don't they ever talk about the fact that the the genocide on the Ashkenazi Jews was something that could have easily been prevented, and everyone knew that something was going wrong. They just didn't want to deal with it. They don't talk about that. Nay, they put all the blame on Nazi Germany and the German people. But what about the Dutch people? What about the French people? French had the whole colonial empire. So France could have told those Ashkenazi Jews, listen, if you don't feel safe over there, come to France. You can even settle in one of our colonies. Okay? Portugal also had a colonial empire back then. What about and the United States was longing for European migrants. And you already had a big presence of Ashkenazi Jews in the United States. So why didn't any of those people reach out? What about Australia, New Zealand? What about all of those people? But when it all went wrong, suddenly it's all the fault of Nazi Germany. And the German people are the ones who are to blame for all the shit that happened. But they don't tell you that those other nations were in on it too. So again, how did Nazi Germany succeed? People say because Hitler was such a charming man. Okay, there are many charming men out there. That doesn't explain why he succeeded. It doesn't. Oh, he had a big military, but okay, the military had to be sponsored, had to be financed. So people beat around the bush, not wanting to address the real issue that goes on over here. The real issue is people did not want to intervene when things were going wrong. That's the situation. They didn't want to be bothered. But when things went wrong and they suffered the consequences, now suddenly they're all the victims of the Nazis. Get out of here. So this sociopathic operation called Nazi Germany was only successful because the world, especially as well the Western world, endorsed it. But after it went wrong, people want to pretend like they were not part of it. Where were all the public figures back then giving warning signs about Adolf Hitler and his administration? Where were they? How could it be that this failed artist from Austria, who had no degrees, who was a veteran from the First World War, who didn't even fight for the Austrian Empire, his own homeland, but fought for the Kingdom of Bavaria, constituent of the German Empire. How come that this guy, who was a convicted terrorist, who tried to overthrow the government with a coup d'etat, how come this convicted terrorist ended up becoming the third president of Germany? That situation alone should alarm people. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. This ain't correct. This ain't right. But no, because this man, Adolf Hitler, because he triggered the darkness that was inside the people felt comfortable with him. And they became blinded from seeing what was there in front of them. They developed blind allegiance towards the man. And I'm telling you, similar things happen over and over again in human history. So, sometimes society transforms from a narcissist into a sociopath, where they can't find victims. When society can't find victims to blood sacrifice, it turns temporarily into a sociopath. And then a sociopathic leader will emerge to act out the violence of the crowd. That's how simple it is. And there are people suggesting that a similar thing is happening right now. I hope not. I hope not. Strange. How come Bill Gates, who doesn't have a medical background, how come he speaks on medical issues and people don't call him out on it? But when I talk about psychological disturbance in human communities, people say, are you, people going to ask if I'm a licensed psychologist. There's the thing, I'm an anthropologist, I'm a sociologist. So I deal with societal issues also. I'm telling you, people in this world, they lie to you when they tell you that they want solutions. Most of them don't. Most of them just want victims to escalate on to be at ease. And that's why when a sociopath emerges, a lot of people endorse sociopath. Because a sociopath is the one that is weak enough and dependent on them to do the dirty job for them. So the public endorses sociopaths, but here's the thing. When you endorse a sociopath, it's the same as bring a scorpion to your house. You cannot turn a scorpion into a pet. Because a scorpion is a scorpion. It will sting you and kill you. Hey, but here's the thing. Remember when Trump was during his campaign for the presidency, he had this poem of this fair lady, this beautiful woman, who encountered a snake that was wounded and she got compassion for the snake, and she brought the snake home and took care of the snake. The snake recovered. Then one day the snake bit her, and she asked the snake, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm the one that rescued you." And the snake told her, "You knew I was a snake when you found me there, right? Yet you brought me in." Now that's what poem Trump um, read multiple times. Now this is what you need to understand. Every time Trump used this poem, he was actually giving a subtle warning to the American people and all those that endorsed him. He was actually referring to himself. He was that snake that was wounded. Because remember, when Trump decided to run for the presidency as a Republican candidate, listen, years ago, I mean, decades before that, Trump said that if he would ever run for the presidency of the United States, he would run as a Republican because Republicans are dumb enough to believe anything. Trump was an open Democrat back then. He was even on good terms with the Clintons. And suddenly, now he wants to run for president. This businessman who was blacklisted, what many failed enterprises, suddenly people see him as a hero. So when Trump read that poem, the publishers realized, hold on a minute. He's actually referring to himself. He's that wounded snake. And now we, the American people, have compassion on him, and we're the ones sponsoring him. But just like the snake in the story bit the woman that took care of the snake, that's what Trump did to the United States of America. He did some practical things for the economy, locally, here and there, but in general, he destroyed the reputation of the United States. And during his presidency, this whole situation happened, and he didn't take it seriously. You know which situation I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention the name during the live stream because of the censorship of YouTube. So, Trump warned the United States. The people thought, F that, we want this man. I mean, not all the Americans, but a lot of people did. Even people in Asia and Europe wanted this man. And now, and then when he was finished with the United States, a lot of them were thinking, oh, Trump is going to fight back. Hey, let's storm the Capitol for him. He's our hero. Oh, he's going to fight back. He's going to do some action. It's voter fraud. Oh, he's going to defeat Biden. And what happened? January the 20th, it happened. He just left. Biden was inaugurated. In March 2020, still thought Trump is coming back. It was later some of the people came to realize this man conned us. But till this day, you have people, not only in the United States, that firmly believe that he is their leader and they are hoping he will return one day. I don't care how bad Biden is. Just because Biden may be worse doesn't mean that Trump is automatically a good guy or that he automatically is the best option. So again, I did not call Trump a sociopath. I didn't do that. What I'm just saying is that the endorsement people gave him without any actual political achievement, that's sociopathic right over there. Just think about it, Saints. Who in the right mind puts a man in office with no political experience and who has a horrible history of controversy in business? There was even a documentary made about Donald Trump in which he was proven to be the scam artist that scammed and tricked a lot of people, and were even people working on his projects were never paid. There was even a documentary about Donald Trump in which the business world put him on a blacklist. How can this man be on a blacklist in the world for business fraud and all of that? And you, the American people, entrust him to restore the United States economy and to make America great again. And how can this man, when it comes to sexuality, he even stood in the Playboy once. And when it comes to sexuality, he wasn't even that faithful to begin with. Now, I'm not picking on Trump here, okay? But if you guys claim that you want a monogamous leader in office, then Trump should have been disqualified already, based on that. When it comes to someone that has financial integrity, Trump should have been discarded already. When it comes to political experience, Trump should have been discarded. The fact that the public kept endorsing Trump, despite all the proof that he wasn't qualified, that shows you that the public didn't care about solutions. The public just wanted someone to escalate on their behalf. That's what they wanted. And Trump did escalate. Oh, but now but they expected Trump to escalate, and they expected escalation to benefit them. But now that escalation is backfiring on them, now they're complaining. If you want a monogamous, faithful leader, now there are countries where you have polygamous leaders. But if you say, no, we're the United States, we want a monogamous leader that treats women well, then I'm sorry, but then Trump should have been discarded from the start. So I'm not here to bash Trump, okay? Because Joe Biden, man, I don't have that much good to say about him right now, okay? What I'm pointing out here, that it isn't just Trump or isn't just Biden. It isn't just the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. It is about the fact that the public doesn't want to face their issues as a community. And that's why they want victims to explode on. But hey, if they go like crazy exploding one another, it's going to be chaotic. So they want someone to lead the explosion. That's what they wanted. For example, make America great again. Again, so America was great at some point in time. What was the time America was great? Trump didn't even specify which great era of America he was referring to. And how are you going to make America great? Remember, the world is different right now. Economically and politically, the world is different. Now you have regions in the world. You don't have empires anymore. The imperialism fade away in the 1960s. You get me? So if we talk about America in the 1960s, when there was still imperialism in the world, you can't go back to that time because now you have regionalism going on. He didn't even specify how America's going to be great again, how this great is going to benefit all Americans. He didn't even do that. Make America great again. Now, a lot of people can make of it whatever they want. For one individual, America is great if it's only white folks around. For someone else, America is great when it's multicultural. For the LGBTer, America is great when everyone endorses LGBT. So everyone has their own expectation of what greatness is. Look, if let's say I go to let's say I would go to Hollywood. I would never go to Hollywood. Let's say I would go to Hollywood with a film proposal, and they tell me to explain the plot of the film. And the plot of the film is quite fake, inconsistent. They would tell me, listen, Rashid, listen, Mr. Dossett, this film proposal you have is very inconsistent. It's going to be a big disaster. The public is not going to take it. Or forget Hollywood. If I would apply for a job somewhere and my motivation letter is inconsistent and I'm not qualified at all for the position, my application would be discarded. So that's why anytime you see an anomaly in the community, that means someone that's not qualified or someone that doesn't promise much good is endorsed, is because the public is in on destruction. Yes, the public is in on destruction. That's what it is. And right now in the world, people don't want to admit that they need to face issues. You get me? And that's why they endorse everything that's being told to them. If you show any type of criticism to the current policies, you're blocked on social media, you're deplatformed, and people turn on you, calling you a conspiracy theorist, calling you all types of names. Some people even want to physically beat you up. So I'm telling you, worldwide, there's a meltdown going on, and the meltdown is going to get worse. So understand, most of the people out there, they don't want solutions, they're not interested in solutions, they just want an outlet to explode on. That's all they want. They will fake as if they want solutions till they find the guy that can do the dirty job for them. That's what's going on. The connection is perfectly fine over here. If you express some buffer, then that's on your part. Look, about cancel culture, look, if someone is unrepentant of their wrong, then they should face consequences in the present, absolutely. But if someone did something horrible in the past and they've become better people and they admit how wrong they were and they don't support it wrong anymore and they support improvement, then why do you need to counsel them? You get me? But this whole idea that just because something happened years ago, you should just leave it off the hook. Well, listen, people people don't tend to get better unless they're challenged. So if someone is narcissistic and they're never challenged on it, then they cannot face themselves and become better people. So if someone was narcissistic and they were abusive in the past, and it was open, and now suddenly they are this great guy that has a career, it can be that the only reason they're not openly abusive anymore because they realize they have something to lose, not because they became better people. Now look, I'm not saying that just because you disagree with someone or you feel hurt or you're upset with what they've said, that suddenly you have a right to acid on them and destroy their career and their livelihood. Absolutely not. But if someone is unrepentant and insisting on wrong, then you should have at least some consequence against them in the present. I agree with it. So that is what you need to understand. Sociopaths can never succeed in the ruin they're doing without the public endorsing it. And here's the thing, the public doesn't realize when you endorse a sociopath, you're endorsing their ruin. And soon that ruin will backfire on you. So the snake you take care of will bite you eventually. And when the snake bites them, now they all are the victims. That horrible snake bit me after all we did for the snake. But hold on a minute, it's a damn snake. What else do you expect of a damn snake? Of course, the snake is going to bite you. You should have never endorsed the snake to begin with. You should recognize, oh, it's a snake. So you know what? The snake is wounded. Leave the snake there, or let professionals deal with the snake. No, you can't. You can't. Let me say this: you can't show empathy to a demon and expect them to behave like a righteous man. You can't change a demon into a righteous man. Look, you can't change a fallen angel into a follower of Christ. You can't do that. So that is why, as a saint, I'm telling you, pay attention to how the crowd around you behaves. Pay attention to the behavior of the crowd around you. The moment you notice that the crowd begins to display sociopathic tendencies, I'm telling you, move away from the crowd. Move away. Don't pretend like nothing's going on. Because by doing that, you'll be putting yourself in harm's way. By the way, I'm about to enter a gym now, but I'll give you 1 minute to ask some questions. So if you have any questions about this topic, you can ask them right now. If I don't get any questions within a minute, I'll close down the live stream. So ask your questions right now, please. Elephant Room Studios, you're correct. That explains the situation in Australia perfectly. I'm not going to mention the situation, you know which situation I'm talking about. That's what's going on in Australia. You got it right. Listen, when you want red flags, but if someone is a sociopath, I speak from a sociological, anthropological point of view. But if you want a psychological evaluation, you can go to a licensed psychologist to get it, because they can give you more details about it, because they specialize in it. I'm just giving you the anthropological and sociological science about it. Okay, so that's just so you know. And I made videos about this before from an anthropological and sociological point of view. You can watch those videos also. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Thank you for being here. Keep agreeing with Christ. Be at peace, and I'll see you next time.